Noah in Oklahoma. Noah, what's on your mind tonight?
Hello. Yes,
Howdy,
I have quite a few things on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Go right
Yeah, I
ahead.
have quite a few things to ask you guys. The first thing was, like, how do I deal with people, like, using hate speech and, like, purposely misgendering me because I'm trans? And it happens quite often on campus. People will be like, call me he, and it really annoys me.
Sure. Yeah, well, I guess it really depends a little bit on the circumstance. I don't know that I could come in from the outside and universally tell you exactly how to approach those situations. I definitely want to empower you and say that you have the right to make those choices as you need to. So as much as I would love to sit here and be like, you shouldn't stand for that, and you need to tell those people, blah, maybe you should, but maybe not. That might not be the energy that you have for the day. That fight may not be worth fighting for you that day. That fight may not be safe in that moment. But I definitely want to just acknowledge the pain of that.
Yeah, and also, I've been, like, really scared of, like, the laws that are going into place right now, like, in Texas and Oklahoma. It's pretty concerning with the anti-trans laws and the anti-abortion laws.
Yeah, y'all really one-upped us on the abortion front. Time is a flat circle. Existence is pain. I don't know what the hell is going on. The news is absolutely wild right now. I suppose I'll acknowledge we didn't talk at the top about everything that happened in Uvalde recently, but Jesus Christ, it is impossible to turn on the news without feeling pretty broken right now. And I guess, Noah, all I can really do is empathize with you on that particular front.
Yeah, it's really concerning, especially with the Roe versus Wade being overturned too. Like, it's just so much discrimination right now, and it's hard to deal with.
Sure.
That's why I tend to stay out of the news, because it's just too negative all the time, and I have to keep myself positive and just learn to cope with what's going on. I'm actually the vice president of my group on campus, and I try to help people just through the tough times. And, help myself cope too. It's been really hard.
Yeah, I'm glad that you have that connection. And I think that those relationships can be really valuable. But, you also, I suppose, need to be additionally mindful about your own burnout fatigue and how exhausting it can be to care for others. There's a lot there. Callye, when it comes to avoiding the news and wanting to stay mindful and wanting to support other people, but also not wanting to overextend yourself, and just all of these different things moving around. Is there any advice you might be able to add here?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think avoidance is a helpful strategy. It gets a bad rap or distraction or whatever, and it's just knowing that line between it's serving you and then not serving you. So I think news can be overwhelming, and we don't want to have that idea of like, oh, if I have to take a break from it, that means I don't care about these things, or I'm not actually an advocate or whatever else. But it's also okay to do that, knowing you're still holding on to your values. And I think even you, being vice president, I think that's what you said, the chair, that's such a good way of having action to help deal with helplessness, right? Like that's a great thing to do.
Yeah.
And then I think it is all of us monitoring, like, oh, am I physically exhausting myself? Like, am I feeling like there's a chance that I'm about to fail someone? Because when we start noticing that pressure kick in a little bit, that might be an indicator of, oh, this isn't just me giving back or being engaged. I've now taken on a role that is too big for one person to have. And so can I give myself permission to step back or ask for help or, whatever else.
Yeah, we just lost our advisor too. The university let her go. And that was heartbreaking too. So it's just been really hard with the new change that's happening on campus. We had a drag event recently, and I don't think the president of OSU liked it. So it's just it's been really hard with everything that's going on with the, the conservative people in town being pretty hateful and judgmental. So I'm actually originally from Dallas, but I moved up to Stillwater for school. So yeah, I go, Dallas. But yeah, it's just been really hard because, I'm in a small town now with a bunch of red conservative Republicans, and it's hard because they love to fight back on this type of stuff. So.
Yeah, Stillwater and College Station, where I was stationed for university, is a very, very similar environment. And my heart breaks thinking about you walking across campus and having to deal with that kind of bullshit. So I'm glad that you're willing to take care of yourself and that you have some community around you. Hopefully some of the things that we are talking about tonight, as well as last time Callye was here when we were talking more about self-compassion, might be some strategies that could be useful here, because there is no honest solution. But I do hope that we can offer some ideas on how to better take care of yourself, and that, hopefully over this summer you're able to get a little bit of a breather.
Yeah, that's kind of why I took off on classes, because it was too stressful. So I was like, I'm going to take a summer off and just take an internship and kind of explore myself a little bit and just, take it slow and, really focus more on LGBTQ rights and not overindulging myself, but I want to help other people too, because I'm a huge empathetic person. So I care about others and myself too. Sometimes I deny myself enough self-care, so I need to, focus on myself too, because that's not selfish to focus on yourself. So, for all the people who are listening, always make sure that you have your health, your mental health, your physical health is good, because, if you deny yourself the needs that you need, then you're going to, be hurting. It's not good.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you saying it. I wish we had more concrete solutions for you, but was there anything else that you wanted to touch on or that we might be able to help out with tonight?
Yes, I was curious about what do you guys think about the sex education system right now? That's another topic I was kind of thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, I can only sort of gesture vaguely at the almost 4-year backlog of this show, which is desperately hoping to fill some sort of gap that clearly exists in our society. I think the only thing that I could really say definitively is that when I talk to the sex educators that I know and the friends that I have that work in schools and things, it's not getting better. Not in our area, according to the people that I know and that I talk to. It is bad, and it's been bad, and it feels very much to be getting worse. I mean, when we look at all of the increases in restrictions on what can even be discussed in schools, whether we're talking about history or basic science, sex education is suffering in all of those areas.
Definitely. I went to the Stillwater public schools, and I kind of fought for the trans kids there their parents were being really hateful, and they were trying to take away their rights. So I went there and I showed my support. I'm actually on the live stream, and, I just went there to show my support for the people, because they're trying to take away basic rights for kids, and it's messed up. And I know the sex education system is really bad in Oklahoma too. They don't teach people enough about gender and sex and the differences and how you identify. I really wish that was taught more in public schools, because in the university, I've learned so much just by my one class that I've taken, Intro to Gender Women's Studies. If anybody can take that, it's an excellent class to go through the history of, everything in America, and it really teaches you, to accept yourself and your bodies, and it's great.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you are starting to fill in that knowledge gap a little bit. And I think that's honestly not the best system, but it's kind of the system that we have. So good on you for doing that work.
Yeah. Yeah, because growing up, my parents did not teach me much about sexuality at all. I was, told that I should be straight because I have super religious parents. And unfortunately, that's just how my parents told me to act is like, you need to deny your sexual desires. You need to, just be like this model that the Bible wants you to be. And I just fought with that for so long. 2 years ago, I just gave up Christianity because I could not, I looked at all the things that Christianity says, like Matt Dillahunty pointed out, and I was like, I just can't deal with those things like slavery and, misogynistic things in the Bible and denying, my homosexuality for so long. I couldn't do it anymore. So I had to accept myself for who I am and stop shaming myself. And I started my transition this year. It's been great. I've been on HRT, and, I've had a lot of support. Unfortunately, my mom's side of the family has completely shunned me, but it was worth it to me because I'm finally myself. Even though people on my mom's side of the family can be very hateful on Facebook and stuff, I just ignore it. And I just take my dad's side of the family who's really supporting, and that's who I talk to.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad that you feel that you are making progress. It sounds like you have put an incredible amount of work into taking care of yourself and taking care of your community. And yeah, all I can say is thank you so much for sharing your story with us, because it
So
doesn't
much.
sound like it's
I
been
don't
an
want
easy
to take
one.
up any more of your guys' time, but I will still listen. And so you guys have a great day. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so
Thanks so
much.
much.
Mhm. Yeah, Callye, speaking of like just being present with a problem rather than trying to hide it, parents talking about sex, really just our culture being willing to talk about sex. I mean, in
Yeah.
everyday relationships, or even in our sexual relationships, how comfortable are we typically in being able to talk about sex? It's no wonder that we have so many challenges in these issues, and we have so many industries built up to try and like supplement our sexuality.
Yeah, and another good reminder of like our struggles are in the context of so many other things, right? Instead of isolating of like, oh, I have a hard time talking about sex or feeling comfortable or what's wrong with me. It's like, oh, you're also part of a bigger system. So
Mm,
like cut yourself some slack for the fact that certain things are inherently difficult because of what we're exposed to, even on like an unconscious level. And um, I I appreciated Noah talking about to like it getting to the point of the suffering was too much, right? Like
yeah, you have to be
denying
present
the
with yourself to notice that.
yeah, it's that we're so scared of what would it be like to make contact with my pain. We're afraid of what's going to happen, but also we don't get to grow until we do make contact. So
Hmm.
we don't want to put that as like, oh, that's where all the bad things get you. It's like, oh no, like healing comes from the experience of fear and safety getting to coexist, you know?
Mm,
And
yeah.
like I like to imagine that feeling of like someone's like tickling the back of your neck, like chasing you. Like you're home alone and you know there's no one there, right? But you're like, fucking what's behind, and you just want to like run, which is fine sometimes. Okay, run to your room, you feel fine. But if every day you have that sensation and you're like, fuck it, I gotta run, because it's just like there's so much power in standing still in that moment and
Mm,
letting it fully wash over you of this fear of someone's about to get me. Like I can feel them right behind me. Stand there, let it happen. There will be an acute sensation, and at the same time you will realize that that moment is perfectly fine. And so the combination of those two things of like I can experience something that's really uncomfortable and I know I'm okay, like, that's where we get to grow and open up more, and it just gets easier and easier to deal with these uncomfortable things.
yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, I think you just sort of like re-described what therapy is,
Mm.
but or maybe even what life is in a lot of ways. That just willingness to be present with the things that are uncomfortable or that challenge us.